Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth on the penalty of law?
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Good morning, Mr. Dixon.
Good morning.
I believe when we recessed, we were talking about the time when you were up near Mr. Boyd's belongings. Is that correct?
I believe that's correct.
And when you were up in the area near Mr. Boyd's belongings, did you use your camera to take any photographs?
I did.
And what did you photograph?
I photographed a clear plastic tarp. There were bags under the tarp and appeared like clothing, food, other items, things of that nature.
Okay, and why did you take that photograph?
I wanted to document it in case the police were to ever need it.
I'm going to hand you what has been marked as Defendant Perez's Exhibit E25 for identification purposes. What does that photograph depict, Mr. Dixon?
It depicts what I described earlier. You have a clear plastic tarp. Towards the right, you can see a book bag. You can see things under the tarp. You can see other, I guess you could call them like household items, things of that nature.
And does Defendant Perez's Exhibit E25 fairly and accurately represent the photograph you took when you were standing near Mr. Boyd's back?
Yes.
Your Honor, I move Defendant Perez's Exhibit E25. I'm going to bring this, that photograph up on the screen next to you so we can talk about it. If you would, for the jury, can you please orient us to where this photograph was taken?
This is the nest of rocks where he was camping. And just ahead you can see Copper Trail. I think I can actually draw a line on it. So there's Copper Trail. And this would be my house.
Okay. And is that a balcony on your house?
Yes.
Okay. And is there someone there on Copper Trail?
Yes.
Can you circle those individuals?
There's two people. They appear to be hikers.
Okay. And during the time you lived at your house at 1812 Piedra Vista, was it common to see people using that trail?
Yes.
Was it a daily occurrence to see people using that trail?
Yes, especially on the weekends.
If you'll go ahead and clear your screen by clicking the lower left-hand corner. Similar. May I approach? Up.
Let's try this.
All right, you got it. So how long did you stay up at that location near Mr. Boyd's belongings?
The first time I stayed for about 3 to 4 minutes.
Okay. And the second time, how long did you stay?
About, I'd say, closer to 15 minutes.
Okay. And did you ever come in contact or inspect Mr. Boyd's items?
No.
Now, do you know what time it was when you actually departed from that area and went back to your house?
I think that would have been around 3:30 p.m. or so approximately 3:30.
Okay, and how long did it take you to get back to your house?
About 5 minutes from that location.
Okay. And at any time when you were up there near Mr. Boyd's belongings, did you actually see Mr. Boyd?
No.
Now, when you returned home, what was the next thing you did?
Once I returned home, I had a neighbor come by and inform me that
Without telling me what was specifically said by your neighbor, Mr. Thixton, who did you have a conversation with?
I had a conversation with the neighbor.
Okay. And after having that conversation, what did you do?
I went up to my balcony to see if I could see Mr. Boyd.
Okay. And were you able to see Mr. Boyd?
No.
Okay. And after you were unable to see Mr. Boyd, what did you do?
I called police because I believed that he was present there, but that I just could not see him.
Okay, and did you call 911 or a non-emergency number?
I called the police non-emergency number.
And why did you decide to call the police non-emergency number?
I didn't find anything like drugs or weapons or stolen property. His temperament at the time appeared to be normal for that day.
And whose temperament are you referring to?
That would be James Boyd's.
So was there a time you actually were able to see him?
Yes, later I could see him sitting on one of the rocks.
Okay. And after you called the police non-emergency line, what did you do?
I went up to my balcony to look at that area.
Okay, and what area were you specifically looking at?
That was the area that Mr. Boyd was camping with. And when I went up the second time to look, that's when I saw him sitting on the rocks.
Okay. And after you saw Mr. Boyd sitting on the rocks, what did you do?
I called the police non-emergency line again to let them know for their awareness that he had returned.
And why did you feel it was necessary to let the police know that he had returned?
Just for their situational awareness so they would be better prepared.
And based on your understanding and your observations, did police actually respond?
Yes.
Okay, and where did the police officers respond to?
They responded to my house.
Okay, and how many officers responded?
There were 2.
And if you could, were you able to see the vehicles they were driving?
Yes.
Can you please describe the appearance of those vehicles?
They had, I think they each drove separately. It was 2 SUVs.
And did you speak to the officers who came to your house?
Yes.
If you could, can you please first describe their appearance?
The officers were in full uniform.
Okay, and when you say full uniform, what do you mean?
They were in a black uniform. They had badges. They had, I don't know what you call it, the belts, the gear on them.
Okay, and if you could, please describe the demeanor of the officers who came to your house.
They were professional.
When you say they were professional, what do you specifically mean?
They asked if I was the one who made the call, and then they just asked details about where he was located.
Okay, and what did you tell the officers as to where Mr. Boyd was located?
I led them through to the backyard, and I actually showed them where Mr. Boyd was located, and I gave them directions on how they could get to that area.
And why did you need to give the officers directions as to how they could get to the area where Mr. Boyd was located?
Because there's a nest of rocks where he was camping at, and there was another nest of rocks as well. It's rugged foothills, so if they were to go to another location to go up to him, they'd have to find the correct nest of rocks.
When you say it's rugged foothills, what do you mean?
It's when you get off the dirt path, it goes to the mound. The mound starts at a steep incline. There's a number of boulders and ridges. There's like lots of brush there. It's a little complex.
Okay. And after you pointed out where Mr. Boyd was located, what happened?
The officers told me that so that Mr. Boyd would not would not associate where the phone call originated from, they would drive down to Copper Avenue, take Copper Avenue and walk up the trail to Mr. Boyd's location.
And after they provided you with that information, did the officers in fact leave your residence?
Yes.
Okay. And after the officers left, what did you do?
I went back up to my second-story balcony.
And why did you go up to your second-story balcony?
That's where I had the best view of Mr. Boyd.
Okay, and was that the balcony that you showed us in Defendant Perez's Exhibit E25?
Yes.
Did you have a clear view of where Mr. Boyd was located from your balcony?
Yes.
And if you could, can you please describe the weather on this day?
It was I mean, it was a good, how would you say it? It was a pleasant day. Partly cloudy, but visibility was pretty good during the day.
Was there anything that obstructed your view of the area where Mr. Boyd was located?
No.
Now, from your balcony, in addition, I understand that you watched some of the incidents that took place that day. Is that
Yes.
correct? In addition to watching them, did you record the incidents that took place using any type of audio or video recording device?
Yes.
And before I talk to you about the actual devices you used, will you please explain to the jury why you decided to record the incident?
At the time, I thought it would be good to document the encounter, just to provide, video provides the best version of events as they took place.
Okay. And what specifically did you record this incident with?
I had two cameras. I had it was a Canon SX280 camera. That was my good camera, and I also recorded with my phone camera.
Okay, and when you say recorded, did both of those devices have an actual video recording function?
Yes.
Okay, and why did you use those two devices instead of just using one?
Because the Canon had it had a poor battery life when recording in video. It lasted, I'd say, about 7 minutes before you had to recharge the battery again.
So that is why you used your iPhone and your Canon?
Correct. I'd use the iPhone to augment the times when I could not record with the Canon when that was charging.
Okay. And did you videotape the entire incident that occurred on March 16th, 2014?
No.
How much of the incident, approximately, did you actually videotape?
Just over an hour.
Okay. And how did you decide what to videotape?
Part of it was based on when I'd have to charge the camera to pull out the other camera. Part of it was based on highlights as to what was going on, because this standoff lasted for 2.5 or 3 hours. It was quite a long standoff. So, there were some times I was just doing errands inside the house, and I guess the best way to say when I chose was when I felt it would be something that would be most significant. I can't say it was actually when it was most significant or not, but it was just my approach.
Okay. And after you videotaped this incident using your Canon and your iPhone, did you transfer the videotapes to another device?
Yes.
And please explain what you transferred that video to.
I had a number of video clips on both my camera and my phone. So I transferred all those video clips over to my computer.
And did you watch the videos before you transferred them?
Yes, I was able to review them on my devices.
Okay, and did you watch them after you transferred them?
Yes.
Okay, and after you transferred them, were the videos still a fair and accurate representation of what you actually videotaped?
Yes.
And once the videos were downloaded onto your computer, did you do anything to edit the videos?
Yes. So because I had to go back and forth from one camera to the other, you had many different files, and it was kind of hard to really get an idea of what was going on when you watched it piece by piece between two different devices. So what I did, I make and edit videos. I just put them all together sequentially, so you could watch it from beginning to end.
Okay. And is it fair to say you compiled the videos that you took?
Yes.
And when you were compiling those videos, did that change any of the content of the videos?
No.
Did you do anything to enhance the audio or video quality of these videos that you took?
No.
And did you make any annotations to the videos that to this video compilation that you created?
Yes. I added time. Yeah, I added timestamps to denote the time, and I also added what camera was being used. So, because you had different clips that were compiled together, they were from two different cameras. So I thought it would be relevant to put what type of camera and at what time the clip was that you were viewing.
Okay, and why did you decide to add timestamps to this video compilation?
Because I had the data. Whenever you record a video with either device, you can look up its file properties and you can see the time. And I think it was beneficial to put the exact time that that video was taken so you can put events together.
Okay, and you mentioned file properties.
Yes.
What are those?
You have a video file. You can actually look at the file properties. It will tell you when the video was created. It'll tell you when the video was modified. So all I'd have to do is just right-click on the file, hit properties. I could see when that video was created.
Okay. And did you record that time that you observed in the file properties on your actual compilation?
Yes.
Now you also mentioned that you added what camera was being used. You annotated that into the compilation, correct?
Yes.
And why did you choose to do that?
The Canon camera and the iPhone camera were a little different. The Canon camera has a magnifier. It can zoom up to 20 times so you can see very closely what your subject is. Where the iPhone was kind of just I guess a wider field of view. So you could almost barely see the subject. You could see where he was, you could see where the officers were, but it was a much wider field of view. The audio that I picked up with the iPhone was better than the audio that I picked up with the Canon camera. And as it went to dusk, the iPhone appeared brighter than the Canon because the Canon records what the actual lighting conditions are when you're taking that video, whereas the iPhone uses some processing to try to make all of your pictures look as well as exposed as possible.
Okay, so the Canon is a better representation of the actual lighting. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And the iPhone tends to make things lighter. Is that correct?
It tries to balance the picture, so when it's darker, it'll try to make it a little bit lighter.
Now I'd actually like to play a few, I'm not going to play the whole compilation, but a few clips of your video, and I'd like to talk to you about those clips. And with the court's permission, I'm going to play a clip from Defendant Perez's Exhibit B4 that lasts from minute 35 to minute 50. Or, I'm sorry, second 35 to second 50, Your Honor.
Sweetheart. She's got a knife.
Okay, and it wasn't quite clear, at least on my screen, but what time did you take that video clip at?
That was around 5 p.m.
Okay. And were you located on your balcony when you took that clip?
Yes.
And did you use any type of zoom function when you were taking that clip?
Yes, that was with the Canon camera, so what you're seeing was a 20 times zoom. So it was magnifying my field of view.
Okay, and did your videotape using that Canon camera clearly pick up everything that was being said by the officers and Mr. Boyd?
Not necessarily. The audio was a little hard to understand. You'd have to be wearing headphones to hear the audio that the Canon was picking up.
Okay, but from where you were located that day, were you able to hear sounds that were not picked up on your camera?
Yes.
And please explain what you heard during this clip that we just watched, if anything.
The two officers were telling Mr. Boyd repeatedly, drop the knife.
Okay. When you say repeatedly, approximately how many times do you remember the officers asking Mr. Boyd to drop the knife?
Over and over again. I don't know.
Okay. Now, in the clip we just listened to, you said he's got a knife. Is that correct?
Yes.
And what did you hear or see that led you to say he's got a knife?
He was behind the rocks, so at that time I couldn't see what was in his hands. I could only see his head. But the officers had their guns drawn, and they were saying, drop the knife, as they backed away.
And that's what you based your statement on?
Yes.
And throughout this incident, was there a time when you actually saw Mr. Boyd holding knives in his hands?
Yes.
Okay. And we'll talk about that clip in a moment. Now, as you were filming this initial interaction that was taking place between the officers and Mr. Boyd, please explain what Mr. Boyd's demeanor was like, based on your observations.
It looked like he was hostile.
It looked like he was hostile.
Yes.
And why do you say it looked like he was hostile?
Because when they went up to confront him, he stood up. He was kind of making his way a little closer to them. He was yelling at them.
Okay. So he was moving towards the officers.
Yes.
Okay. And based on your observations of that interaction that you saw between Mr. Boyd and those two open space officers, who did you think was the aggressor in that situation?
Objection, Your Honor. Personal knowledge and speculation.
Mr. Boyd.
And why did you think he was the aggressor in that situation?
Because he pulled knives on them.
Now, Your Honor, I'd like to play another clip with the court's permission from Defendant Perez Exhibit B4. And this clip is from 1 minute 37 seconds to 1 minute 52 seconds.
Counsel, this is consistent with virtual clip?
Yes.
They've got their guns on him. He's got a knife on him. He's not cooperating.
Now, is it fair to say that video clip was taken shortly after the first clip we watched?
Yes.
Okay. And during the video clip, you can be heard saying they've got their guns on him. Is that correct?
Yes.
And what did you mean when you say they've got their guns on him?
They were pointing at the threat, which would have been Mr. Boyd.
Okay. And were you surprised that the officers had their guns drawn?
If someone pulled a knife on me and I had a gun, I would do the same. I cannot say that I was surprised that that's how they would react.
Objection, Your Honor. 41443.
And during the video clip we just listened to, you can be heard saying he's got a knife on him. Is that correct?
Yes.
And why did you make that statement?
Because that's when my wife came in. So I told her what I had heard and what I was observing.
Okay, so you're relaying that information to your wife.
Correct.
And lastly, during the clip that we just saw, you said he's not cooperating. Is that correct?
Correct.
Please explain what you saw or heard that led you to make that statement.
They told him to drop the knives, or drop the knife, and he did not appear to be complying.
I'm going to play another clip for you from your video, Mr. Thixton, with the court's permission. This is from Defendant Perez's Exhibit B4 from minute 3:55 to minute 4 and 5 seconds.
He said he's gonna kill him.
Okay, and when you said he's gonna kill them, who were you referring to?
Mr. Boyd,
Okay, and what did you hear or observe that led you to believe Mr. Boyd was going to kill the officers?
Mr. Boyd,
Our speculation is not what happened, it's just relaying what we heard, and not that he believed he was going to.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. What did you see or hear that led you to say he's gonna kill them?
I heard
Same objection, Perez. Misleading.
I heard Mr. Boyd say to the officers that he was going to kill them.
Okay, and will you please describe the tone of Mr. Boyd's voice when he threatened to kill the officers?
He said it with hostility.
Okay, and will you please describe Boyd's general demeanor when he was threatening to kill the officers?
He was angry.
And why did you think he was angry? Based on your observations.
Based on my observations, it's because I don't think he wanted them near him.
Okay. And based on your observations, did you see anything that indicated to you that Mr. Boyd was afraid?
It didn't look like it.
And why didn't it look like he was afraid?
He was not complying. He was not backing away. He stood his ground and he was yelling at them.
And what concerns did you have standing on your balcony when you heard Mr. Boyd threaten to kill officers?
It kind of confirmed my worst fears.
Excuse me, Your Honor. 401, 402, 403.
This guy was.
Okay. And do you need a moment, Mr. Thixton?
Yeah.
Okay.
It confirmed to me that he was dangerous.
Mr. Thixton, I'm going to play another clip for you, and this is a clip from Defendant Perez's Exhibit D4, minute 9, 5 seconds to minute 8, or to minute 9, 18 seconds.
Thank you.
And take as much time as you need, Mr. Thixton.
Mr. Henry, which did you take?
Okay, I'm ready.
She has absolutely no idea what's going on.
If you would, for the jury, please explain what you just filmed in that clip we saw.
There was a jogger running past the incident that was occurring.
Okay, and why did you choose to record that jogger running past the incident?
Because she wasn't aware of what was happening about 50 feet away from her.
Okay, so based on your approximation and the time that you were up there, that trail where that woman was jogging was approximately 50 feet away from where Mr. Boyd was.
Yes.
And as you videotaped, or as we heard on the videotape, you said she has absolutely no idea what's going on. Is that correct?
Correct.
What did you see or observe that led you to say she has absolutely no idea what's going on?
She was not aware that there was a standoff between Mr. Boyd and officers.
And you referred to this as a standoff. Why do you describe it as a standoff?
Because he was not complying and he was not cooperating with officers.
Okay. Now, what concerns did you have as you videotaped that woman run by?
She was pretty close to harm's way.
Okay, and why do you believe she was close to harm's way?
Because she was near someone who was threatening police with their guns drawn at him.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, I'm going to play another clip from Defendant Perez's Exhibit B4, and that is from minute 10 to minute 10:53, and it has been clipped to comply with the court's order.
And he has a hand in his pocket. He's just not, he's not cooperating.
I'm going to pause the video. On that day, were you able to see what was in Mr. Boyd's right hand at that point?
I could see it through the camera.
Okay. And what was in his right hand, Mr. Thixton?
It was a shiny object that appeared to be a pocket knife.
Okay. We'll go ahead and continue watching this clip.
He's dangerous. Yeah.
At the time the clip stopped, were you able to tell what was in Mr. Boyd's hands on the day of the incident?
Yes.
And what was in Mr. Boyd's hands at that point?
He had a knife in each hand.
Okay. And moving back, at the beginning of the clip we just listened to, you said, and he has a hand in his pocket, he's just not cooperating. Why did you make that statement, Mr. Thixton?
Because having your hand in your pocket and not showing it to police means you're likely concealing something.
Excuse me, Your Honor, objection, lack of foundation.
Okay. And why did you think Mr. Boyd was concealing something?
Because, I don't know, it's just you don't really put your hand in your pocket and not, when they say, let me see your hand, still keep your hand in your pocket. You're usually keeping your hand in your pocket because you don't want the officers to see what you have in there.
And did you hear officers tell Mr. Boyd to let them see his hands?
Yes,
How many times did you hear them say that approximately?
repeatedly.
Now in the video clip that we just watched, after I paused it and we talked about Mr. Boyd having a knife in his right hand, what did Mr. Boyd do?
He started to walk towards the officers.
Okay, and after he walked towards the officers, What was he doing when we stopped the video clip?
I believe that when he was walking towards the officers and when the video clip stopped, I think he stood his ground there and continued yelling at the officers.
And when you describe Mr. Boyd as standing his ground, what do you mean?
That he was not going to back away.
You also said in the video clip we watched, he's dangerous. That's something you've said during your testimony today, correct?
Yes.
And why at that point, while you were watching the video, why did you say he's dangerous?
Because he had knives and he wanted to attack the police.
Okay. Your Honor, with the court's permission, I'm now going to play another clip from Defendant Perez's Exhibit B4, and that's from minute 14, 50 seconds to minute 15, 15 seconds.
Wait, so what time did the encounter was? What time of day?
At this next clip I'm going to play?
Yes.
5:12.
Thank you.
Says he's military. Keeps saying they better leave or he's gonna kill him.
Now, at this point, as I've just indicated to counsel, this clip occurred at approximately 5:12. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. And based on your memory and your observations that day, were these the only officers who were on scene at that point?
I believe so.
Okay. Were there any other officers, based on your recollection, wearing any other kind of uniform other than these standard police uniforms?
Later in the day, I know there were officers in different uniforms.
And what about at this point at 5:12 when you filmed these officers?
I think at the time it was just these officers.
Okay. Now, in the video clip, you can be heard saying, keep saying they better leave
Excuse
or...
me, Your Honor, objection to the preambles before the question is leading, and cumulative of what's on the video.
Maybe counsel is drawing the witness's attention to a certain point in the video to ask a question, so I'll allow limitedly the.
In the video clip that we just watched, you said, keep saying they better leave or he's going to kill them. Is that correct?
Yes.
And who were you referring to when you made that statement?
Mr. Boyd,
And who did you believe he was threatening to kill?
the police officers in front of him.
Now I'm going to play another clip for you from Defendant Perez's Exhibit B4, and that's from minute 30:19 to minute 30:36, with the court's permission, of course.
Unfortunately, there's some kids going down the hill. Probably have no idea what's going on.
Now, what drew your attention to the individuals that you filmed coming down the hill?
I heard them laughing.
Okay. And why did you believe that the individuals coming down the hill were kids?
Because they sounded like kids and they appeared to be children.
Okay. And when you said that the kids had no idea what's going on, what did you mean?
That they had no idea how dangerous that altercation was that they were trying to get closer to see.
And why did you believe that altercation they were getting close to was dangerous?
Because you had a standoff between a guy with knives and police with their weapons drawn.
Now, Your Honor, with the court's permission, I'm going to play another clip from Defendant Perez's Exhibit B4, and that's from minute 42 and 11 seconds to minute 44 and 13 seconds. Did you see that timestamp that just went by?
I believe it was 6:36 or 6:37.
Okay. Now, what were you just filming at that tree at the base of the hill?
I believe there was an officer there.
Okay.
Or
And
two.
then a couple of officers there?
Yes,
Okay, and that was at approximately 6:36 or 6:37?
correct.
Okay. If you could, based on your observations that day, can you describe how you perceive Mr. Boyd's demeanor at that period of time?
Hostile.
Okay. And during that portion of the video, those officers in the dark blue or black uniforms were not near Mr. Boyd, correct?
Correct.
Okay. In fact, there were no officers near Mr. Boyd, correct?
Correct.
Now I'm going to play one more clip for you from Defendant Perez's Exhibit B4, and that's from time 45:40 to 45:50. In that video that we just listened to, were you able to hear Mr. Boyd say, "I'm going to hunt you down and kill you, that's my personal promise"?
Yes.
Do you remember at approximately what time this video was taken at?
6:39.
And at this time, can you see any officers in this still that I have up on the screen?
There's two officers in the corner next to the tree. They're probably around 50 feet away.
And when you heard Mr. Boyd make that statement and that promise to officers, what went through your mind?
Objection, Your Honor, forward.
I was getting pretty scared, but my wife was terrified.
Your wife was terrified?
Yes.
Your Honor, hearsay.
I'm going to play one last clip for you, Mr. Thixton, and that is from Defendant Perez's Exhibit B4, minute 58:17 to minute 58:59. During this video clip, what did you observe Mr. Boyd do?
I saw him, he was holding a white cup. I saw him put the cup on the ground, and I saw him put his backpack on the ground.
And would you agree that this, that the lighting now, it's getting darker, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And this was filmed with your iPhone, as we saw,
Your
correct?
Honor, objection leading.
What was this filmed with?
This is filmed with an iPhone.
Okay. And did that iPhone accurately represent the lighting conditions at that time?
It tried to brighten it by a little bit.
Okay. And would you please describe the lighting conditions at the time that force was used against Mr. Boyd?
Just a little bit darker.
Okay. And overall, throughout this incident, can you please describe for the jury the efforts you saw officers make to peacefully take Mr. Boyd into custody?
I saw them for 2.5 hours trying to talk with Mr. Boyd, trying to get him to comply and surrender peacefully.
And can you please explain for the jury how you observed Mr. Boyd respond to those attempts officers were making?
He'd yell at them.
Okay. And what would he yell at?
He yelled threats. He yelled that he was on a special mission. He yelled that he was in the CIA. He was with the Department of Defense. He made outlandish claims.
And how many times did you hear Mr. Boyd threaten to kill officers?
Several times throughout the day.
Okay, so these weren't all during one period of time, correct?
Objection leading.
When you say he made several threats to kill officers, when throughout that 2.5 hour period were those threats made?
I cannot specifically say, but he made threats throughout the day.
Now there came a time when shots were fired at Mr. Boyd, correct?
Yes.
And immediately prior to the time that shots were fired, were you able to see exactly what Mr. Boyd was doing?
I was directed to what was going on after I heard a flashbang go off, probably about 5 or 6 seconds later. Prior to shots being fired, I believe I saw the officers close in and he was standing and doing something with his arms.
Okay. And you saw this from a distance, correct?
Correct.
And can you please describe the lighting conditions at that time?
This was starting to, I'd say it was dusk. It was starting to get a little darker.
Now, throughout this incident, if you would have seen officers simply leave, how would you have felt?
Objection, Your Honor. No, that's.
Not allowed.
I would have gotten a hotel for my wife and I don't know what I would have done after that.
And why would you have gotten a hotel for your wife and yourself?
Police were going through my yard, so he'd know who made the call.
Okay. Thank you for your testimony. May I have a moment, Your Honor? No further questions, Your Honor. I pass the witness.
See the vehicle you must approach.
Mr. Thixton, have you ever sold a copy of the video you created?
No.
Thank you. One more question. Did you ever provide your video to the police?
Yes.
And when did you provide your video to the police?
When I was doing a police interview, I was downloading all the video clips at that time to police
And based on
that
your
night.
I'm sorry for interrupting you.
Oh, no. I copied all the files for the police that night.
Okay. And based on your recollection, when did that police interview take place?
That was from 10:30 at night to 12 at night, I believe,
Of the day of the incident?
of the day of the incident.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Did you ever take a picture of Mr. Boyd with a woman up there?
I had never seen him with a woman up there,
Okay,
so I've never taken a picture of him with a woman up there.
okay. Did you hear the opening statement in this case?
No.
Okay, let me ask you if this is a true statement, sir, okay? Why we know he was with a woman up there is because Alexander Thixton photographed both of them from his balcony walking around. Is that a true statement, sir?
That is not true.
That's all the questions I have, thank you.
Yes.
just getting ready so that when I get there, I have it attached. Mr. Thixon, let's start where you were just at. You did take a photograph that you provided to the investigating officer, and I'm going to may I approach Your Honor and show him the photograph?
See what she showed.
You bet.
Show counsel.
Yeah, we'll mark it once he identifies it. Is this a photograph that you took of the rock that you could see from your balcony, sir?
Yes.
And there's a photograph of an African-American person in that photograph, is that right?
Yes.
And can you tell the court here today whether you can identify that as a woman or a man?
It looked to me as a man.
Okay. Your Honor, we move this into evidence as State's Exhibit number 76.
No objection.
No objection.
Oh, I should show it to the, can you do that podium, Your Honor?
Judge, I think that there was already an exhibit 76. We have the one on our list.
So is 77 our next one?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
No, the reporter did not have a 76.
Yeah, I didn't think we had 76.
Let me check the, list. I had a 74.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I had a 74, but not a 76.
Okay, thank you. This will be State's Exhibit 76. And are we showing to the jury a photograph that you took of someone in the campsite where Mr. Boyd was?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Thixon, Mr. Boyd had been living behind your house or in the foothills for about 30 days, is that right?
Yes.
And during that time, he hadn't made any direct contact with you
No.
or your wife?
No.
All right. Yesterday, you talked about your wife was in her shower and looking out her window and saying she saw Mr. Boyd. In fact, when your wife is in the shower, she can look out and see the foothills and see hikers and campers out there, isn't that right?
Yes. But they're at an elevated position from the trail.
All right. Who's at an elevated position from the trail?
Mr. Boyd, the rock is up the hill some. So the shower, the window starts about, I'd say about shoulder height. So if you go right up to the window, you can see down, you can see hikers. Where they were at was an elevated position. So when you're standing back in the shower, looking through the window, you could see those rocks where they were at, and you could see where Mr. Boyd was at.
Right. And in fact, they weren't looking toward her window. Your wife could just see them changing and getting dressed. Wasn't that your testimony yesterday?
Yes.
And your response when you learned of that, you didn't call the police at that time, did you?
No.
In fact, your response was to go take photographs of them. Isn't that right?
Yes.
You didn't
Like-
make any effort to let them know that you were photographing them from your balcony, did you?
No. If I may, I can explain why I did not make contact with the police at that time.
You'll get a chance. They'll ask you those questions.
Sure.
We heard you talk yesterday that you heard Mr. Boyd making what you alleged to be a threat of harm. That's what you said. Is that right?
Yes.
And you said it was some kind of threat, but you didn't know what.
Yes.
That was your testimony before this jury?
That was my testimony and what I provided in police correspondence the next morning.
Let's talk about that. But you've given a statement under oath in this case before, haven't you, sir?
Yes.
And in that testimony under oath, just like the one you gave here today, you talked about what you observed between Mr. Boyd and this person. Isn't that right?
Yes.
And you testify under oath Page 19, counsel. Lines 10 through 13. I'm sorry, I'm going to go to the next one. It's page 23, lines 24 through 25. Question.
And counsel, what, you're referring to testimony for another hearing?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Line 23, I'm sorry, page 23, line 24. In your testimony before, under oath, was that the yelling you told police was simply about how his life was ruined and the government had a $500 billion bailout. And this is still the question. That's what you told the police that night about what Mr. Boyd said. Isn't that right, sir? And your answer was, yes, that's what I told the police. That's highly odd behavior. Wasn't that what you told the police?
Just gonna check.
May I?
Yes.
That's
Right
being
here.
characterized and used as a prior inconsistent statement because it's not inconsistent.
Is that your testimony, sir?
I have testimony that,
Yes.
There was an objection.
It's improper impeachment.
Sustained.
Was that your testimony, sir?
Objection, Your Honor, improper impeachment.
It's a prior inconsistent statement, Your Honor. He testified yesterday under oath that there was a threat of harm. In a prior testimony under oath, he said,
Objection to the speaking objection, Your Honor.
Sustained objection.
well, and you also, let's talk about the statement. You gave that night that you were just referring to. Is that right?
yes,
And it's your testimony before this jury that you told the officers that Mr. Boyd was making a threat?
yes. Do you have the police correspondence that I provided the next day?
Mr. Dixon,
Let me ask you this.
she's gonna ask the questions and you need to answer the questions.
Okay.
Mr. Thixton, when you allegedly heard this so-called threat, you didn't call the police that night, did you?
When I heard that threat, that's when I made the decision to call the police. That was the night of February 25th. I did call the police.
All right, and here's your statement that you gave to police, page 44, line 11. And what you told the police was he was yelling all kinds of stuff about how everything was taken from them. He is ruined, talking about like how the government, like $500 billion bailout, all this outlandish stuff. Isn't that what you told the police?
Yes, and I also,
Improper impeachment.
It's absolutely proper impeachment, Your Honor. It's okay.
That objection is sustained, that you have to sustain.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, there's one more issue that I'd like to raise because I think the defense opened the door on this. May we approach? Mr. Thixton, when you first spoke with the police about your observations of Mr. Boyd for the time when he was, for the 30 days that he was camping and living in the foothills, you never described to the police that you observed him making any threats to this gentleman in February, did you?
I said twice that he was yelling at him.
Yes,
And the
sir.
next day I provided police correspondence where I said he was yelling at him and he threatened him.
All right, I don't know what correspondence you're talking to, but you never told the police in your interview, did you, sir, that you had observed Mr. Boyd making threats? In fact, you said he was yelling about a $500 million bailout. Isn't that what you told the police?
That was part of it.
Objection, Your
I
Honor.
also,
Asked and answered improper impeachment.
that was part of what I said.
All
I
right.
also said he was yelling at him. I said it twice.
Okay. Now, when you first saw the campsite where Mr. Boyd had been living, you testified that you were standing up on the U-mound and on top of the mountain looking down. Is that right?
Yes.
And when you saw that, you hiked to his area where you believed he'd been living to have a look around, correct?
That was after I went home first.
Okay, first you went home and you grabbed your Great Danes and your fully loaded caliber 380 pistol, is that right?
Yes.
And you concealed that pistol in your pocket?
Yes.
And you told the police that all you could see were personal items, isn't that right?
Yes.
Okay. When you heard Mr. Boyd, or who you believed to be Mr. Boyd, talking about a government bailout, you thought that was highly odd behavior.
Yes.
It indicated to you that he might be mentally ill, is that right?
Yes.
You didn't get online or get in the phone book and try to call and see if there were any services for mentally ill people that you could call for him, did you?
I was too afraid that I didn't want to call mental services. I wanted to have the police go out there and actually confront him and tell him not to come back. I was more concerned about my safety.
Okay. You were more concerned about you didn't call a homeless shelter,
No.
Objection has to be.
and you didn't call 311.
Objection has to be.
No.
When I sustain an objection, then that means you don't have to.
I'm sorry.
Now, you were asking questions about when the open space officers arrived at your house. When they got to your house, they did not attempt to frisk you.
No.
Objection relevance.
Well, you had a gun in your pocket at the time they arrived, didn't you?
Objection, relevance, Your Honor.
It's also, well, that wasn't asked and answered, but it's irrelevant.
You testified today that you saw Mr. Boyd. It was your impression that Mr. Boyd was the first aggressor. Is that what you said?
Yes.
All right. And you haven't had a rock obstructing your view of Mr. Boyd, correct?
All but his head.
And you didn't film, or at least you didn't provide in your film compilation, the open space officers as they approached Mr. Boyd, did you?
No, it was after that confrontation.
So you did not know that, in fact, the officers had pulled their guns on him before he ever pulled out his knives. Did you know that?
Objection assumes backs that evidence.
Oh, it's in evidence, Your Honor.
I'm not aware.
Okay. You testified that you filmed instances that you found were highlights of this encounter between the officers and Mr. Boyd. Is that right?
Yes.
And there were instances that you didn't record.
Yes.
Instances where there were downtime.
It was a 2.5 hour long exchange. I can't say, yes, it was absolutely when there was downtime. There were some times I just went through doing things throughout the house. You know, we hadn't eaten yet. Some of it was, I wouldn't say it was downtime, but there wasn't any change to what was happening in the standoff.
Okay. And you said you wouldn't say it was downtime, is that right?
Correct.
Prior testimony, you've given prior testimony in this case, haven't you?
Yes.
And in that case, in this prior testimony under oath, just like you are today, did you say that there were
State your mind,
instances?
counsel.
Sure, 28 lines 1 and 2. There were some instances where I didn't record the stand down time. Was that your testimony?
Yes.
Okay. There were times. He just said there's no stand down time. Sorry. Yep. All right. And there were times when you heard Mr. Boyd say, I thought you were going to get me a hotel for a week, and now I see a guy with a rifle up there. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Okay. You also saw him look around the mountain and say, I see that guy. He's going to kill me. Didn't you hear Mr. Boyd say that?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, you gave an interview to the police the night of the shooting. Is that right?
Yes.
And you did so voluntarily.
Yes.
Page 34, line 15, counsel. What you said to the officers was, but I see that guy. He's going to kill me. Page 34, line 16. Is that what it says there? I'm sorry, line 15.
May I read the whole thing?
Well, I'd like you to read the sentence that I just read. But I see that guy, he's going to kill me. Is that what that says?
Yeah, there's an objection.
Okay, well, the rule of completeness requires just that
Line
sentence.
34, the witness has requested to.
Okay, please.
Okay. Okay. Yeah,
And my question was, sir, you told the police that Mr. Boyd said, but I see that guy, he's going to kill me. Isn't that what you said?
yes.
Okay. You also heard him say, you guys are assaulting me. Correct?
I don't know. If that's what I said in the testimony, then yes.
You heard him say, when you came up here, you assaulted me. Isn't that right?
Yes.
And there were some instances when Mr. Boyd was just sitting there and there was a gun pointed at him. Isn't that right?
I don't know.
Thixton clip 13D21. Your Honor, may we have podium VGA?
Can you repeat what you want to play?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm sorry. 13D2.
So it states 13.
Yes, Judge.
Do you want it HDM?
Yes, please. Let me first make sure I have the right one here. All right. Pause it here. Yeah, there we go. This is a police officer down here. Do you know that to now be Defendant Sandy? All right, well, you see officers there and pointing a gun, and these are the other officers who are up closer to Mr. Boyd, is that right?
Yes.
And Mr. Boyd's looking around to see everybody who's arrived, is that right?
It's cause for speculation.
I'm sorry, D2, Your Honor. You also filmed when there was a change in position and new officers coming up, is that right?
Yes.
We see a rope gentleman right there walking up and aiming, is that right?
Yes.
And Mr. Boyd is sitting on that rock.
Yes.
And not saying anything at that time, right?
No.
You have a moment, Your Honor? In the 30 days, Mr. Boyd was living in that campsite, you took pictures of the white man who was staying in that rock nest. Is that right?
Yes.
And you had take pictures of a man who was shouting. You believed, is that right?
Yes.
And you assumed it was the same man who was shot in your photographs. Is that right?
You're talking about the February 25th incident?
Yes,
or
sir.
March 1st?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. And the photograph you took, may I approach? The photograph you took of somebody that you alleged to be having this conversation was actually this man, wasn't it?
Yes, this was on March 1st.
Okay. And we'd like to mark this as case exhibit number 77.
Sorry, what was, I didn't hear the dates that she suggested that was as opposed to.
Witness said it was March first.
So
The
that's a
fo-
March first, that's a picture taken on March first, just to be clear.
March 1st, not February 25th.
Okay, so this is the shower person?
This is the shower person,
All right,
yes.
this is somebody changing.
Somebody what?
All right, can we have podium? This is the person that,
I don't even know if there's any objections to
oh,
that.
Check, because now it's beyond the scope, it's not relevant.
I believe there was some testimony yesterday about an incident on March first with the shot.
right.
If, then I withdraw, Your Honor. I'll withdraw
Yeah.
the objection.
Any
All right.
objection, Mr. Rodney?
No objection.
This is the person that your wife saw changing, is that right?
Ms. Montemayor?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Are you going to say it's a minute?
Sorry.
It's a minute.
All right. Is that right?
Yes.
All right. And, Your Honor, may we have podium, please? That's actually not Mr. Boyd at all, is it, sir?
Not on March 1st, if that's the case.
That's not him, correct?
No.
All right. And he's wearing a hat, you can see, with a little bit of fur up top. You see that?
Yes.
Okay. And State's Exhibit number 76, is that the photograph that you took also on March 1st?
I don't have a photograph.
Okay, this is the one that we talked about with the African-American man or woman?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You also took that on March 1st, correct?
Yes.
Okay. That's not Mr. Boyd, right?
No.
And this person also has that same furry hat as we saw in State's Exhibit 77, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. You don't actually know who was yelling either in February or who you were filming in March 1st, is that right?
His voice sounded the same as Mr. Boyd.
This man.
On February 25th, the man who was yelling at another individual sounded like Mr. Boyd.
Okay. About the
On
bail.
March 16th.
All right.
Yes.
Did I move 77 on? Thank you. And sir, you don't know how many people were living up there or who had been living up there, isn't that right?
No.
That's right.
Yes.
Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor, briefly. Mr. Thixton, were you aware of how many people Mr. Boyd had up there with him in that nest of rocks during the roughly 30 days he was up there?
Objection to the form of the question.
I,
You can answer.
Okay. Could you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Do you know, based on your observations, how many people Mr. Boyd had up there with him at that nest of rocks during the 30 days he was up there?
Objection, Your Honor, it's an improper question. How many people he had up there with things and it's a leading question.
He had one other person up there
Wait.
on February 25th.
Okay.
Yes.
Was there anyone else you saw up there with Mr. Boyd?
No, just him and the other person.
Okay, and Miss Montoya talked to you about the February 25th incident. And Mr. Thixton, did you hear Mr. Boyd make threats on that night?
Yes.
Is there any doubt in your mind that he was making threats?
No.
Now, Ms. Montoya also asked you about some of the statements Mr. Boyd made. Based on your observations of Mr. Boyd that day, did you believe that all of the statements he was making were based in reality?
No.
When you heard Mr. Boyd state that that the officers had assaulted him, did you believe, based on your observations, that was based in reality?
Objection,
No.
leading.
No other question.
No.
Now, Ms. Montoya showed you a brief video clip of an officer at the bottom with a rifle. Is that correct?
Yes.
When you saw that officer at the bottom of the hill with that rifle, what did you believe that officer was doing?
It could have been one of two things. He could have been aiming at...
Your Honor, it's lack of personal knowledge and speculation.
Based on his observations, Your Honor.
Single questions, Your Honor.
I'm gonna overrule that objection based on the question that was asked by the state and the way the question was asked by the state.
When you saw that officer looking through his scope, what did you believe he was doing based on your observations?
looking through his magnifier.
Okay. And why did you, based on your observations, believe he was looking through his magnifier?
Because he was further away. If you actually wanted to take a shot, you'd rest the rifle on something stable.
Okay, and he wasn't resting the rifle, correct?
Objection,
He
Your
was
Honor, leading.
holding it.
Was he resting the rifle?
That's it.
No.
The one that was objected to is speculative. The second question, or the most recent question, is proper.
Was that officer resting his rifle when you saw him in that video we just watched?
No.
Okay. A moment, Your Honor. No further questions.